pleasure today to have the Colby, James, and the Ramblers group on. I'm told there are 4 Ramblers, and then there's Colby, James, and Jay Pacheco to my left. So why don't we talk a little bit, guys, about how you got started and the whys, the wherefores, and all that good stuff we always talk about with music.
Absolutely. So I started with Jay. I played in an acoustic.
Being Jay.
This Jay. I started playing acoustic, and Jay was the local sound guy in Bristol. He did sound for everybody. And we became very good friends very quickly. And,
now, were you playing when you did sound too, or were you
No,
just...
I hadn't played in years.
Oh, really?
I hadn't played in years, yeah.
So your focus at that time was sound?
Yeah, engineering, doing that kind of stuff, yeah.
Here you are.
Here we are, yeah. So then I started this band called Rune, and we won some cool things, and we went pretty far with it. And then Jay was our sound guy that traveled with us.
Yeah.
And then that kind of,
What was that, the name of that again?
Rune, R-U-N-E, it was the Rune. We won, like, Rhode Island road shows.
Like
Big
Run
Break.
with an E.
Yeah,
Rune.
run with an E, yeah. And we started out, once you have kids and you get married, then the band thing kind of slows down. And, we got all that stuff out of the way. And we started forming this new project that we're doing, and it's been going pretty good.
And you are from originally?
I'm from Bristol, Rhode Island,
Okay.
and I still live in Bristol.
Yeah, and is this a Rhode Island primarily? We just call it a Rhode Island-based band?
So
or?
our violin player had the church that plays in the Ramblers. She's from New Bedford.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. And the others are primarily
Rhode Island.
Bristol,
Rhode Island, yep, Rhode
Warren,
Island.
that area there.
I live in Bristol now. Colby lives in Bristol. Our other guitarist, James, he lives in Bristol, from Bristol. And Lee, our bass player, is actually from Burrillville, lives in Burrillville.
Oh, that's a little bit of a ride
Yeah.
to join all of you.
Yeah.
So why don't we switch off to Jay, and Jay Pacheco, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I know you were saying, Colby, that you got started through this group, actually, and doing the actual performing. And
Yeah, so when Colby started playing again a lot live, he didn't want to do it solo anymore. He wanted to have someone there with him. So he asked me, why don't you bring out one of your drums? I said, I haven't played in 10, 12 years, whatever it was at the time. So I said, all right, we'll do it. It was a local bar gig. It wasn't anything fancy.
Yeah.
So we did it, and then that was 2 years ago, and it's been 2 years straight. Pretty much every weekend we've had a show.
You're lucky because, it isn't always that easy, as I'm sure you know.
True.
And
5 years ago, you couldn't buy a show.
Yeah.
So
so
we're
you
very
live
fortunate.
now in Bristol?
Yeah, I'm originally from East Providence, Rhode Island. I live now in Bristol with my fiance.
And how did you get involved in music? And I take it you're a drummer.
Yeah, I guess I'm a drummer.
Yeah. Looking around.
I played music. I learned music in junior high. I was a trumpet player, and I was always around music, and my family was into music, and
so important in the schools, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge supporter. Love it.
Yeah.
And we had a great music program in East Providence at the time. So, I don't know. It just stuck around. Once you're into music, you're into it. It's just kind of part of your life, I feel.
Well, it traverses so many areas. I mean, it is a universal language, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do first up, guys?
This first song is it's called Juniper Springs, and it was a good song. I feel it was a good song.
Fun fact.
Did you write it?
I wrote it, and actually I wrote it with the intent to really never play it. And then Jay recorded it, and we dumped the demo on iTunes, and it was put on something. It was a compilation. It was a best.
2015's Apple Best of Blues.
Wow.
Yeah. So Apple Music.
And then we sold like 2,000 in Russia, which was weird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but
that's a good thing. Maybe there's a message there.
I don't know. Yeah. So it was weird, but it was cool. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. Yeah.
And what was the focus of the song?
So the song was loosely based on my grandfather who passed away, and me being a musician, not knowing how to handle it, so just take it to music.
Well, that's a perfect way to take it. Yeah.
So.
And a lasting tribute to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Walk into the river to feel your soul. Walk into the river to feel your soul. been good, life is getting pretty old. Walking to the river to fill your soul. Begging with the Lord to ease my mind. Begging with the Lord to ease my mind. Too much to drink got me lagging behind. Begging with the Lord to ease my mind. Let me eat when I'm starving, drink when I'm dry. Let me eat when I'm starving, drink when I'm dry. Put some money in my pocket when I'm broke, religion when I die. Let me eat when I'm starving, drink when I'm dry. Thinking about that reason why the sun goes down. Thinking about the reason why the sun goes down. Head in the clouds, my eyes are on the ground. Thinking about the reason why the sun goes down. All right, this song here is called Before You Take It All. And it's a song that Jay and I definitely wrote together. And on our CD, it's far different than how we play it now. So this is a different version, right?
Yep.
All right. Hello, darling, I need you now. Staring at the sun, it's gonna burn me down. I made a deal, I sold my soul. Give me 2 more days before you take it all. Gonna embrace my baby's arms, yeah. Gonna embrace my baby's arms. Need to be safe from shallow grave. Yeah, please forgive me for what I done. Don't mean to drag it out. Chase is on. Hey, I've been fighting for all my days. When this wick burns out, I'll be ablaze. Gonna embrace my baby's arms. Gonna embrace my baby's arms. Need to be safe from the shallow grave. My baby's arms. Need my baby's arms to hold and say, free me from my life. Yeah, I've become a slave. Walking aimlessly, headed straight for home. Need my baby's arms. Need my baby's arms. Need my baby's arms. Need my baby's arms. Need my baby. Need my baby's arms. Need my baby's arms. Need my baby's arms.
This is a song called Bury the Worry, which a fellow Rambler of ours, Heather Church, and I wrote. And it goes something like this.
Walk through the door, say goodbye to it all, and I leave my guitar on the floor and down, never picking it up again. But here I am, up on stage, digging the fans, hating the fame, starting to feel like I'm losing control. Sign my life, baby, sign it away. I'll get it back, baby, eventually. Starting to feel like a dog in here. Yeah, yeah. Walk through the door, say goodbye to it all, and I leave my guitar on the floor and down, then picking it up again. But here I am, up on stage, digging the fam, making the fame, starting to feel like I'm losing control. Sign my life, baby, sign it away. I'll get it back, baby, eventually. Starting to feel like a dog in here. So take me now, take me there, let me feel what you feel. I'm not leaving, I'm here to stay. Turn can to can, feel my plan. I just need for you to understand. I'm not leaving, I'm here to stay. Coming back some other day. 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 Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, so take me now, take me there, let me feel what you feel. I'm not leaving, I'm here to stay. Turn can to can, feel my pain. I just need for you to understand. I'm not leaving, no. I'm here to stay. Coming back some other day. 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 30 miles off the Gulf Stream, I can hear the south wind moan. Bridge is getting lowered, yeah, the shrimp boat's coming home. But the old man down in the quarter slowly turns his head, takes a sip from his whiskey bottle, and this is what he said. I was born in the rain of a positive train underneath the Louisiana moon. I don't mind the strain of a hurricane, they come around every June. The high black water, yeah, the devil's daughter. She's hard, she's cold, and she's mean. Nobody taught her that it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans. Man come down from Chicago, he's gonna set the levee right. Needs to be about 3 feet higher, it won't make it through the night. But the old man down in the quarter said, don't you listen to that boy. Water be down by the morning, they'll soon be back to Illinois. I was born in the rain of a positive train underneath the Louisiana moon. Don't mind the strain of a hurricane, they come around every June. The high black water, yeah, the devil's daughter. She's hard, she's cold, and she's mean. Nobody taught her that it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans. "30 miles off the Gulf Stream, I can hear the south wind moan. Bridge is getting lowered, yeah, the shrimp boat's coming home. But the old man down in the quarter, he slowly turns his head, takes a sip from his whiskey bottle, and this is what he said. I was born in the rain of a positive train underneath the Louisiana moon. I don't mind the strain of a hurricane, they come around every June. The high black water, yeah, the devil's daughter. She's hard, she's cold, and she's mean. Nobody taught her that it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans. I was born in the rain of a positive train underneath the Louisiana moon. I don't mind the strain of a hurricane, they come around every June. High black water, yeah, the devil's daughter. She's hard, she's cold, and she's mean. Nobody told her that it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans. Yeah. Nobody told her that it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans. Nobody told her that it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans. Yeah. Nobody told her that it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans. Nobody taught her it takes a lot of water to wash away New Orleans.
Welcome back, everyone, to ArtsAlive, and it's my real pleasure to have with me Steve Rise, engineer extraordinaire here at Bristol Community College. So welcome, Steve. And Steve has been working on a really fabulous project, which is the redoing, I guess we might call it that, of the film that ran for many, many years at Heritage State Park here in Fall River, The Fabric of Fall River. And it kind of needed a little bit of an upgrade, digitized maybe and things like that. So why don't you tell us about that project, Steve, and how long it took you and what it encompassed. And we're going to run clips of it, by the way, for the audience as we talk.
So the project, we began with it back in 2016. We just finished another project. We were down there delivering a DVD of that project for them to show in the theater at Heritage.
3 years.
Yep.
Wow.
And we were there and we were talking, and they pulled out all these slide carousels. And what can you do with these? I said, well, let me take one, have a look at what's on them. Maybe we can make something of it. And I started doing some research, and we found someone had a bootleg version of the Fabric of Fall River. They'd filmed it from the back of the theater. And I started holding up the slides and looking at it. I said, well, this piece goes here and there. It kind of makes sense. So we went back. So can we have the rest of the carousels, a few at a time? We digitized them. It took about a year to do that.
How many were there in all?
In all, I don't have a total number. I know it's over 1,000 slides.
Wow, that's
So
a
that's
lot.
15 carousels.
Yeah.
And the way it worked is you had these projectors. There was 15 of them, all computer controlled. And by computer, we're talking very, very primitive,
Right.
pre-Atari and Commodore 64 kind of technology.
Early days.
Very, very early. And we're talking, this presentation was built, and it aired in '84 and '85. That was the first, showings. So they would have these projectors set up, and they would fill different quadrants of the screen. And the idea was the entire wall that you're facing in the auditorium would be filled with the different images. So if I wanted an image in this corner, I had 2 projectors that were aimed there, and it would cycle between them.
Right.
So you had an audio cassette as well that had all of the sound that you heard, and then there was tones encoded on the other track of the audio cassette that would advance the projectors. So it was already pre-programmed, and it would just kind of make its way through. And the presentation was about 34 minutes long. So we took it, we kind of put it back together. We used that bootleg version kind of as our template, and then worked to reconstruct.
And tell us a little bit about, for instance, you were just saying that one of the things that had to be added in for handicapped accessibility, hearing impaired people, would be text on the screen that wasn't thought of, or it wasn't a big concern initially.
Actually, it would have been really difficult to do with this multi-image projection, because it would have spanned across at least 3 slides, and they have to all be lined up perfectly. So that was one of the things that would have had to be added for modern accessibility, is some means of captioning. So when we finished the presentation, we sent it out to a captioning bureau. It came back. Unfortunately, the audio quality, because it came off a cassette and it's over 30 years old, is pretty tough. And then you have a very thick accents from the various people, the first generation
We're
immigrants who
talking,
came.
right, yeah.
And so it's sometimes hard to hear. So the captioning is great for anybody who wants to be there, and you're not sure what that person's saying. It's very clear what's being spoken. So that caption came back. Unfortunately, it was only about 75% accurate. So we spent another 3 weeks going through and fixing all the typos.
And they had a showing of it recently, very well received showing at the park.
We estimate about 75 people attended at the beginning of May, and they have a plan to weekdays in the mornings to show the presentation kind of once a day, and then by request on days that don't have special events in the park.
It will come up, and people will be able to see it. Now, we also talked about what the possibilities could be for a next step.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that at the reception after the initial screening, and there's a little bit of history before the presentation. The presentation starts kind of with the settlers. So we could talk a little bit about the natives who lived here prior, and then we could also talk about really the history after '85. And looking through, the latest images we could identify was the Notre Dame fire, the iconic photo. With the fire all behind in the statue.
And so relevant now, given what happened to the original in Paris.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a section that talks about fires, historic fires of Fall River inside the presentation. So our thought was maybe you'd pick it up, and we'll have to have a discussion. What is important? The goal of the presentation was to talk about the people. So we talk a lot about the communities that came here, from the Azores, from France, from all over the world. Those were some, what would be those people now? Would it be the Cambodian community? Would it be the Latino community?
Right.
And how has the demographics of the city changed? A little bit. It's similar in ways too.
Similar, right, and people, of course, have been assimilated over those 34, 35 years of time. They've now become much more part of the general American community, intermarried into various cultures and all that. So I think it's a wonderful, we are a city of immigrants, and I think that's what has made us special in many ways. And it would be very nice to see that kind of focus, I think, continue, if it's possible to do. Now, we had sort of laughingly said, how was this project funded? Did somebody underwrite it, or was it a...
From what we could tell, and there was some documentation that the park had, the original deliverables, there there was a company retained, and a committee was formed of residents to determine what was important, what should be in it. But there was a company that built it as part of the commissioning of the park.
To do the park,
initially.
yeah.
Now, if you look at the park, you'll notice it looks kind of like a mill.
Yes,
You
it
walk
does,
inside,
yeah.
you have the beams and whatnot. And the
Yeah.
idea was to try to mimic the architecture of the mills, and the original exhibit that was out in the hall referenced the film. It's been updated a little bit since, but it's a good primer if you don't know the first thing about the city and you want to know the history of the area. Basically, it's the history, last
To go through it,
250 years of history of the city.
And they have a nice little showing area there, a little theater. Not quite sure how many it holds. Might be close to 100, I'm not sure.
A little over 100.
Yeah, and it's, you can go in, have a nice comfortable seat and view the fabric of Fall River, and
It's air conditioned in the summertime,
air
so come on
conditioned in
down.
the summer. You can't beat that.
If you are going to come out with the intent of seeing the film, call the park ahead of time. Just make sure they're showing it that particular
Okay,
day. They'll let
yeah,
you know what time they're
yeah.
going to show it.
We have a new director at the park, I think, do we?
Jim Lopes, who's
Jim
the
Lopes, yeah.
interpreter, he was there last year as well.
Oh,
He
yes,
came
yeah.
back this
Very
season.
nice man, yeah. Yeah.
He's got some great things planned, so if you check out online, they have all
It's good
sorts
to
of things
know,
listed
yeah.
about what's going on at the park. And this is their 35th anniversary of the Heritage Parks.
Wow. And we were lucky to get that park. You know, some people might not realize how lucky we were back in the day to get the park, because it was, I'm not sure how many they started with, but I think we were among the first to be selected. Well, thanks, Steve,
Thank
for
you.
all the information. Thanks so much for all your hard work on that film. And we thank all of you for joining us today, and see you next time.